Let's kick off with Mark Ridling. He's the owner-manager of the House and Building Wash Company. Good to have you with us this morning, Mark. I suppose, where do you want to kick off? I mean, I could ask you hundreds of questions this morning, but maybe you're a real chatty type and you've got lots to say.
Look, I guess at the end of the day, we're biased and suggest that it's done regularly, wash the exterior of the property. But from an owner's perspective, it does actually prolong the life of the paint, and even if they're washing it themselves, which makes sense.
What's your regular compared to my regular?
Yeah, look, the paint companies say that if you wash once a year, that you'll increase the life of the paint 25%. So typically we find a number of clients are doing that, and occasionally if somebody, say, lives next to a motorway, they might clean it 6 monthly, but then there's others that clean it every 2 or 3 years. It's like a car service, really. Once a year is probably a good idea.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with that. Once a year, but I'll be honest, I reckon it's almost 2 times a year.
Well, you're in the countryside, so you're not affected by pollution.
Not by pollution, but when I was living in the urban environment, I got a lot of road dust on the windowsills. Like it was like this black sooty stuff, and if you left it there too long, it was really hard to get off.
But also you got to remember people that do live in more countryside that have got burning fossil fuels like coal and stuff like that settles a lot. You'd suppose you'd see that.
And pollens from trees.
You'd see that a lot on your weatherboards on your houses when you're washing it.
Mark?
Interestingly, yes, the other thought is that if you're living by the sea, is to make sure some of the people like New Zealand Steel now are saying with their guarantees, if you don't wash it 6 monthly, which we think is a bit over the top, if you live by the sea, then they won't cover the guarantees. But pollen's less of an issue, really. The black mould and the fungus is really what starts to cause a bit of damage.
And I suppose, does this change up and down the country? So would I need to be doing as much if I lived in Central as I do, say, in the North Island where we get more rain?
Yeah, fair comment. Where it's wetter, you tend to get more mould at the end of the day, and that's where the paint starts to break down.
It's interesting. It's the same with our cars as well. I notice many cars now that are getting a little bit longer in the tooth, where the paint's the clear coat's broken down, and you can see these maps of Guatemala on cars where cars haven't been regularly washed, and it's the same with our houses. We see at the hardware stores, and especially at Mitre 10, water blasters or high-pressure washers are incredibly good value for money. They're not expensive anymore. I remember my dad buying one. It was hundreds and hundreds of dollars. Now you can shell out just under 100 notes and get a water blaster. Are we water blasting our houses, or do you have hundreds of people that cling to the house like Spider-Man with soft sponges and warm soapy water?
Yeah, I guess, look, the reality is you can get out with your bucket, put a bit of detergent, a bit of citrus, and maybe a bit of 30 seconds in there and scrub it down.
What a soup.
It gives you a good result, but boy, is it hard work. A water blaster works, but if you're purely water blasting the house, yes, again, you can damage it. So what you need to do is put a mixture of products on that do the cleaning for you, and then you can flush it down. Use the water blaster just as a flushing mechanism, and that way you won't cause the damage.
Right, so you're not trying to get in really close to it to power the dirt off the wall, you're just using it to rinse down afterwards.
Effectively, that's what it is.
Right.
And around timber window frames is the other area to be careful of, and definitely use a hose and brush around there because you don't want to pour water inside, especially the villas.
So the type of chemicals, do you use chemicals? Are we going to see Tony's lovely garden?
Well, I was about to say I'm going to go and get my torpedo hoe and hold it against your chest if you go and damage my garden, Mark.
Yeah, look, reality is you are absolutely right. We clean properties which are on the Epsom and the Albany garden trails, and at the right dilution level, you need to have a salt-based cleaning agent, or what we use is a salt-based cleaning agent, a citrus cleaner for barbecue fat and diesel fumes, and a neutral detergent. And we find for us that's the best mix. But if you were, for example, to put 30 seconds in and it's too strong because it's sodium hypochlorite, which is effectively bleach, you will damage your plants if you're putting the wrong mix in.
Should you, if you're going to do it, and even if you just to be prudent, should you do anything like wet the plants down first and then wash them down afterwards or something? Is there pattern?
Absolutely, especially in the summer when they're very dry and they'll suck up anything that's around. It's important that you do put water on them, and then they'll suck up less of whatever it is that you're putting on the house.
Right.
Well, I don't think
as well.
I don't think it's a good idea to clean the house in the summer anyway, because most of it's evaporating off at the same.
Look, it's a taste thing. At the end of the day, Kiwis get out with a barbecue and just look at the house and go, oh, okay, that's the time to do it. But for us, we say winter, and the reason why is because it's like soaking a fry pan before you put it in the dishwasher. Everything's really soft. There's lots of rain. It makes it really, really easy in terms of being easy on the paint, because it's a very soft wash. Yeah.
Mark, would you like a grilling from some of our listeners this morning?
Look, sure, welcome to put a call or two through.
Great, sounds good. Okay, listen, you might have a few prudent questions for Mark this morning about house washing. And now's a good time to call 0800 844 747. I've got a couple more questions, and I know Hamish has as well. He's giving me that stare.
I gave him the look.
Mark Ridling is the owner-manager of the house washing company, and I know that there are lots around the country too. If you have some questions around house washing and what can be done on the treatment of your home, then now's a great time to call 0800 844 747. We're talking about house cleaning. Mark Ridling with the company, the House and Building Wash Company. And I like how you refer to your customers as clients like a lawyer does. So it sounds very expensive.
Tony, he's in a funny mood today, mate. Pay no attention.
Mark, we've got a few questions coming through, and the first one is Raywin. Good morning.
Good morning.
Raywin.
Good morning. My query is, last time I had my house cleaned, and it desperately needs a clean, as I live quite near the motorway, I asked for a soft wash, but some of the paint came off right down to the bare wood, and my letterbox needed to be replaced afterwards.
Wow.
And I was going to have my house painted, so that was no problem, but I didn't think that, I thought that was a bit rough.
Yeah, look, definitely. I guess there are a few cowboys out there, and
It wasn't a cowboy company, because a lot of people I know had used them before.
Okay. Reality is there's a huge difference between a pre-paint clean and a soft wash, and maybe it was, I don't know who the company is, maybe it was a new operator, but
no.
It's the mixture of the products that do the cleaning, and really, as I'm saying, if you're using, in our case we use water blasters that have been heavily modified, big wide nozzles on the end of the wands,
right,
so that you get a volume of water, you can run your hand in front of it, and with a gentle soft wash, if the paint is in even fair to reasonable condition, there's no reason why it would come off. If you've got lots of flaky paint, reality is that whatever you do to it, it's going to knock those flakes off.
Right, okay. All right, that's fine, because I haven't had it done for about 4 years and it desperately needs a clean, so I'll give your company a ring.
You had a bad experience and you thought, right, not doing this again.
Colin, good morning.
Good morning. I just had a question. Live in a villa near the sea, and before I was to wash it, what would be the best preparation in terms of a soap-based cleaner, or what sort of cleaner would be appropriate to put on?
Yeah, fair question. Something that's neutral in the way of a detergent, something that's a bit of a grease cutter, a citrus type of product, and as I mentioned, for lack of a better term, something in the way of 30 seconds in a diluted form so that it kills the mould and the fungus if you're going to wash it yourself.
Spray and walk away?
Not so much, because you actually need to, you've got to get some elbow grease into it if you're not flushing it off. And where the rain doesn't reach under the eaves of the house, it's not so effective.
So 30 seconds is a product, is it? You can buy and dilute that?
Yes, you can, and just be a bit careful that you do dilute it down sufficiently, because there is a bleach component in there. If you're working around gardens or fish ponds, you need to make sure you cover a fish pond.
And how much do you dilute it?
Look, you're going to have a look at the instructions, but I'd put a few drops in.
Okay. Okay.
Actually, these products are super concentrated, aren't they, Mark?
Yes, it's pretty powerful stuff.
And it's the same with a lot of products that we use in just domestic cleaning as well. We often think that by adding a little bit more, it's going to make a big difference.
But in this case, yeah, that's probably the opposite of what you want to do. You can test a little sample around the back of the house, make sure it's fine, and then carry on with the rest of it.
So, Mark, if we're connected to, if we've got our own water tanks and we're washing the side of the house, is any going to go into the tanks? Have we got anything to worry about there? You're not actually washing the roof, are you?
Very good point. Very good point. If you're washing above the gutter line, you definitely need to disconnect the downpipes because you don't want to get the contamination in your.
How does one do that? Is that an easy thing to disconnect them?
Yeah.
What do you grab it and lift it up and twist it, or?
Well, it depends how the fix.
I'd break it. You see.
Does Mark want to answer this, or do you guys want to answer it?
Well, I was just going to jump in if you guys just want to hang fire for it too. Hey, look, there's also these little attachments you can put into your downpipe, which is just a sort of like
diverter.
A diverter, a little trapdoor diverter. Have you installed those or used those before, Mark?
Yeah, definitely. That's one of the options. Sometimes you can physically pull them apart, or there's a screw that you can release. Other times there's a shut-off valve. But the diverters that are out now are very good, and so you can leave them permanently in the downpipe. And so for if you're treating a roof or washing it or washing above the gutter line, very good tool to use.
Would you put one of those in for someone, or does someone get the plumber to come and do it?
No, we've done that quite regularly. Whenever we wash a roof, it's part of we don't put anything down the stormwater drains as part of the regulations. So that's something that we do as well.
Oh, great! So I could simply say, "Hey, could I please have a couple of diverters put in?" and you'd come prep for it.
Absolutely.
You can actually buy them straight off the shelf at Mitre 10, leaf diverters, and actually we just did a little video of them called 15-second fixes on the Mitre 10 website, and it seriously will take you like 10 minutes to put it in. Cut the section out, slip it in, and bang away Lulu, you know.
Mark Ridling with us this morning. He's the owner and the manager of the House and Building Wash Company. What's your background, Mark?
Believe it or not, it was 10 years in the computer industry.
Oh, gosh.
and prior to that, a sheet metal engineer. So a little bit diverse, but the last 19 years have been starting the business with my wife and myself, and all four members of the family have worked in it, and we've got 10 rigs on the road these days.
Most New Zealanders will be governed by price. They'll say, oh, but how much is it going to cost? And I suppose you probably have people that come and quote the work first of all, and then you that determines whether or not you've got the job. Is that correct?
Look, in our case, we're very, very lucky where 78% of our work is either repeat or referral. So we're doing a lot of work for people that say, look, you clean the neighbour's house, you clean my friend's house, and we do the quoting typically over the phone with the assistance of various websites. But in terms of pricing, it's somewhere in your basic price is about $250 up to a large house around $500, in those sort of ballpark figures.
Is that including the roof, or is it just exterior?
That's the exterior of the house. So starting off at the 250-ish. The roofs typically options to wash or to treat. Your roof wash is looking at about two times the price of the house wash. Very ballpark figures.
Right.
That's money well spent, in my opinion. You wouldn't get me up on a roof for that because I'm terrible.
The boys have to be trained up with all the safety harness equipment and what have you these days, and to make sure that we're complying and that you don't find a dead body at the bottom of the gully once we've finished our job.
Exactly. So what sort of time frame are we looking at for you to water blast? To clean an average size house?
Yeah, good question. I guess typically with all our equipment, there's about $60,000 worth of gear in the rig, and we're in typically for say 3 hours, give or take a little, but sometimes we're all day because we're doing everything from paths and decks and drives to window cleaning, etc. So
of course, you'll do the whole lot, won't you?
Everything on the exterior of the house, every hard surface, excluding the lawn, we can pretty well clean.
Perfect.
Awesome.
And I like I always like a job well done too. So you reckon that it's a good idea to, if not annually, biannually, get your house cleaned?
Look, I think if you look at once a year or twice a year at worst, that's the way to go. We like the annual, of course, but we're biased. But look, the one thing I do want to mention is that we have a guarantee that says if you're not totally delighted with our service, you choose a competitor, we will pay them to re-clean. We're that confident.
Gosh.
Outstanding. Great guarantee.
Anything else you want to leave us with apart from that tagline?
Just 0800 Housewash if you'd like to call us.
That was shameless. Nice to talk, Mark. Mark Ridling.
Thank you, guys.
Take care, mate. Thank you.
From the House and Building Wash Company.